Revolutionary greetings, comrades. We continue to respond to the questions that you sent to us. We should have concluded this by now, but because of other commitments, we could not. Um, we get straight to the questions that were asked. I realize that we might have skipped some questions in our previous video when we're responding to questions. Comrade Brian Salt Chabalala is asking if SADC did not endorse or approve the Zimbabwe elections. We all now know that the observer team sent by SADC said the elections were not free and fair. This is what the observer team said. In terms of the processing of that report, we are not yet sure what is going to happen. But as we understand, the report, as we said, which has already been handed over to the chairperson of the SADC organ on peace and politics, if I am correct there. And then that will require, as we understand, SADC Council of Ministers, these are foreign ministers, to meet and deliberate on the report, and possible that the report then goes to the heads of states within the SADC region. Whether they are going to call a summit, we are not sure as yet. There are many commentators out there. I was following some clip by Professor Ipo Mandaza saying that a summit is going to be convened soon. So we don't know what is going to happen. So we haven't had any official communication from the SADC Secretariat in Hebron, unless if I missed that one out. Comrade Shelter Mkwananzi, thank you so much for joining us, and thanks for to others as well where we've joined us. Then we dealt with Comrade Wutumuzi Abraham Nkuni. We responded to his question. Comrade Mbongeni Hlatimlilo, I had said in the previous video that your question might be a bit longer. In terms of explaining, might be longer, and we're running out of time. You're right. Good day, Comrade GS. A quick one. ZCP current has a membership of how many members, and does ZCP have structures? If so, kindly break them down for us. Thank you. We have 45 paid up members, Comrade Mbongeni Hlatimlilo. We have 200 candidate members, 200 candidate members in the Zimbabwe Communist Party. We separate the membership. We are proposing a third tier of membership, which I will explain. Firstly, you do not just join a communist party. A person firstly goes through induction, which at Congress we said it takes about 6 months, but also with the experience that you are now having, depending on comrades, some take for a year to go through the entire ZCP induction. What we have been lacking is to combine theory and practice, because what is required is that when you apply for membership of the Zimbabwe Communist Party, you firstly go through induction. This induction must be accompanied with the practical work that you do, so that after 6 months, you then qualify to become a member of the Zimbabwe Communist Party. So some comrades have taken longer to qualify to be members of the party. So that's 45 paid, 200 candidate members. We are updating our membership. We are doing an audit of our membership to check in terms of those that are candidate members, whether they now qualify to be party members. So this is what we are currently doing in preparation for the ZCP second Congress. The third tier of membership, which the second Congress will discuss, which will be in 2024, is what we call Zimbabwe Communist Party supporters. What we've established is that there are comrades who would not want to go through the induction. Remember, we're not a mass movement. So we are now debating in the party. We do not know what the Congress is going to say because we will announce soon the theme of the second Congress. But the discussion as it emerges is that we should have what we call Zimbabwe Communist Party supporters, a person who's not a member of the party, is not a candidate member because they are not interested in starting or in undergoing the induction, but they love the Zimbabwe Communist Party. They love it not because they are communists, they love it based on what the leadership of the party is doing in community. So some will then say, comrades, we want to be members of the party. When you then send them literature, they do not read. So that's the discussion that we are currently having to introduce a third tier of membership, which is known as ZCP supporters. It's common in football matches. I mean in football clubs. For instance, I'm not a member of Highlanders Football Club, but I'm a supporter because I do not have a membership card. When Highlanders Football Club goes to its annual general meeting to take decisions whether they elect the leadership of Highlanders Football Club, I do not qualify to be in that meeting because I'm not a member, but I'm a supporter of Highlanders. I contribute to Highlanders as a supporter. So this is what we are looking into to say, how does a ZCP supporter contributes to the growth of the party? And what does it mean to have this third tier of membership? Will that mean the party is now becoming a mass movement or combining vanguard and a mass? It's a discussion that we are having. Then in terms of structures, what we have currently, it's a we have a few comrades at a professional level across the country. We have in Manicaland a structure, a professional structure, which all is not complete. We also have in Harare, which is not complete. We have in Maswingo, we have in Midlands, we have in Bulawayo, we have in Mad North, we have comrades in Mad South. We have not yet established a structure, but there are comrades that organize in Mad South. We have comrades that organize in Mashonaland East. They have not established a structure. We have comrades that organize in Mashonaland West. They have not established a professional structure. There are comrades that organize in Mashonaland Central. We have not gone below that to have presence in every district in Zimbabwe. So what we started by was that we need to have comrades in each and every province. I hope, Comrade Hlatimlilo, this answers your question. I'm fine, Comrade Taylor Kazwiti. I'm very fine, Comrade. And then Comrade Anita Ncube says, Comrade Mapena, how do I join the Zimbabwe Communist Party? Just WhatsApp me, Comrade Anita Ncube, +27833401000. Like I was explaining, you will have to undergo induction. Our induction is not that difficult though, because what we're starting for a new member, we expect a new member to start in the Zimbabwe Communist Party Constitution. The Zimbabwe Communist Party Constitution is rich in that it clearly specifies who we are in terms of our ideology. So if you start the Constitution, comrades will assist you to even understand what we call dialectic and historical materialism, because it is also mentioned in the Constitution. Once you study the Zimbabwe Communist Party constitution, you then have to be assisted to study the Communist Manifesto, which was written by Frederick Engels and Karl Marx. Once you are done with that, that's the basic. You have to study the party, the ZCP program, which was adopted at the first Congress in 2019. Our program provides or gives an analysis or does a scientific analysis of the Zimbabwe political economy from 1890 to about 2019 when we held the Congress. So we want comrades who join us to understand the political economy of Zimbabwe way back from colonialism, comrades, to understand the struggle for national liberation, the role of the working class. We discuss all this, the strike, first strike of workers at the National Railways in 1912. We need comrades to have a basic understanding of that before they become members. This is why I'm talking of we are having cadres, that is paid up members, those that have qualified, gone through this induction and have qualified, and then we have others who are still starting. Like I'm saying, we have realized that some comrades do not want to start because the culture that we have in Zimbabwean politics, which we have been discussing in the Central Committee recently, is that there's this political culture says that a leader must just lead. Members of the organization or party, political party, they just follow the leader. This is why you then have these slogans about the leader, Chamisa Chete Chete, ED Fair. And if you ask members of those parties what their parties stand for, they will not define what the party stands for. Because theirs is simple to shout slogans. In the ruling party, who are told, the supporters are just being told that just reject imperialism. They do not even know what imperialism is. They say reject imperialism. These are puppets of the West. If they come into power, they will reverse the land program. But they do not know what imperialism is. They do not undergo this training in their political school. Though ZANU-PF does have a vegetable ideological school, it does not reach out to ordinary members of the party. They simply dish out their membership cards because they are an electoral based party. An electoral based party is concerned about numbers, having numbers for them to win an election. So it's the same with the triple C. For it to win an election, it needs numbers. So you ask then the members of Triple C in communities, what does it stands for? When you get to this debate, you have been told that the enemy is ZANU-PF. Let us all mobilize and remove ZANU-PF. We'll see. They will deal with these issues after we've removed the ZANU-PF. Whereas in the Zimbabwe Communist Party, we are very clear that we are engaged in class struggle. So we want our members to understand what do we mean by being engaged in a class struggle. What is a class struggle? So it's important that we go through this for one, then to qualify to be a member. But of course, as I'm saying, Comrade Anita Ncube, as I was responding to Comrade Mbongeni Hlathi-Mlilo, is that we are considering establishing what we call Zimbabwe Communist Party supporters. The Congress will debate this and come up, if it adopts it, and clarify in the Constitution on what will be the role of supporters of the Zimbabwe Communist Party. Comrade Ndaba Moyo, thank you so much. Comrade Ndaba Mlunjwa, thank you so much for following. Comrade Mpilo Moyo writes, now that President Ramaphosa openly congratulated Mnangagwa, just as Mbeki Italy congratulated Mugabe and said there's no crisis in Zimbabwe. bazothini since it has been proven ukuthi kulo mkhonyovu will it be business as usual. Look, as I've just said, in terms of the SADC report that is being processed, we do not know what it is going to happen. But we had an interesting discussion today. It's the 14th of today is the 14th. On the 13th of September, we had an interesting discussion on ENCA, Channel 403. It was pre-recorded. That was yesterday. It was pre-recorded. The Nation, We the Nation, that's the program, We the Nation. They are going to broadcast it on Sunday, this coming Sunday at 8 p.m. So if you have time, please watch it. I'm not sure what time rap is playing, but watch it. The reason why I want to link that discussion that we're having on ENCN is because Comrade Mama Wall, is it Comrade? I can't remember, as former minister of intelligence, was representing the African National Congress, and the issues were about migrants, undocumented migrants. They invited Operation Dudula, Patriotic Alliance, and others. So the ANC was represented. So we did put to the comrade who was representing the ANC that, in our view, is that there seems to be some challenges on the part of the African National Congress to understand the nature of the crisis in Zimbabwe. Because if we follow closely what Comrade Fikile Mbalula was saying, he then reduces the entire crisis in Zimbabwe to that of Zim government or ZANU-PF as victims of imperialist forces. Therefore, everyone, every progressive person, notwithstanding what ZANU-PF does, must then defend ZANU-PF. That's the short and the short message from Comrade Fikile Mbalula and the ANC. So we're raising this, that while we understand the struggle against imperialism, it would be wrong to characterize the crisis in Zimbabwe in the manner in which the ANC Secretary General was doing, to reduce it to us Zimbabweans being victims of imperialist forces. Yes, we are saying sanctions must go in Zimbabwe. We are very clear as communists on that part. And we recognize the struggle against imperialism and what imperialists have done. But we should not ignore the key component of the looting class inside Zimbabwe, to an extent that we have failed to rebuild our economy, resulting in thousands of young people flocking to South Africa, putting pressure on social services in South Africa. Then you have these outbreaks, attacks on perceived undocumented migrants. So that's the problem. So, Comrade Mpilomoyo, the ANC must first and foremost listen to us communists in understanding what the crisis in Zimbabwe is and how they should intervene. Because it is not correct to say our economy collapsed because of sanctions that were imposed on Zimbabwe. It is incorrect. It is not correct. We have said in many platforms, and we repeated in that discussion on ENCA Channel 403, that our economy, the collapse of our economies as a result of neoliberal policies. Because if sanctions were to be imposed on Zimbabwe, they should have been imposed during the genocide. When black people had been massacred, there were no sanctions against Zimbabwe or the political leadership. So it's that's where the ANC is missing it, and we hope that at some point they will then understand from us communists that we recognize the anti-imperialist strategy, which we are part of, but we disagree that for us to defeat the imperialist forces, we must protect ZANU-PF. No, because in any case, ZANU-PF was created by imperialist forces in 1963. We've repeated this in a number of platforms. I know ZANU-PF comrades get angry when I say this, and they say no. Others, those that came from ZAPU, they will say no, Comrade Mabena, the ZANU-PF we're talking about is the one that was formed in 1987. There's no ZANU-PF which was established in 1987. ZAPU simply joined ZANU-PF. If you read read the UNITA code document, and ZANU-PF simply swallowed ZAPU. So you can't then stand on a podium and say ZANU-PF was created in 1987. But when you talk to ZANU-PF comrades who were part of ZANU before the UNITA Accord, they will tell you that ZANU-PF was created in 1963, that's the correct position, and it was created as a front for imperialist forces to curtail the influence of the Soviet Union and Cuba in this part of Africa. Comrade Willard Kanye says, Zimbabwe Communist Party wayengancintisi ukhetho isasekhona. Yes, the party is very much alive, as I've been explaining. We are preparing for our second Congress. We just concluded recently, we just concluded a few days ago, the framework of our discussion document. We don't just as communists go to a congress without knowing why we're going to a congress. So we comrades are discussing the what should be in our discussion document. So our structures are discussing that. So the framework is out. It has been sent to comrades for them to have input on a number of issues, which will form part of the resolutions, because some of these issues will also find these issues will also be contained in the political report of the Central Committee to Congress, which will then form part of the Congress resolutions. Comrade Lionel Muzi says, is there a Mrs. Ngama Bena? You need to come to my home, Comrade Lionel Muzi, if you want to see Mrs. Ngama Bena. I will not parade Mrs. Ngama Bena on social media, but if you want to see her, just visit my home. I'm sure she's going to make you tea or some meal. Comrade Gail Nogo says, which we then gave the title of this video. This question says, how ngingayithola njani work permit, or how do I get a work permit? And we assume that she's not on Zimbabwe exemption permit. So this is the last question, but we are going to deal with the other three questions in the next video, the outstanding ones. If you are not a holder of the Zimbabwe exemption permit, you want to apply for a work visa, the procedure is simple. Firstly, you apply for a job while you are now in your country of origin. In this case, if you are a Zimbabwean, you apply for a job in South Africa. The Department of Labor should clear you. So first, you apply for a job. Once you get a job, you need to provide information to the Department of Labor to give proof that the job that you're applying for was advertised in national newspapers or in other internet sites. Now we're going digital. In other internet sites, the job was advertised. You then provide, or the company that employs you must then provide the interviews, the records of the interview, how many people applied for the job, how many then went for an interview. And the company must provide information, assuming you are applying for a job as an accountant, right? You there are 25 people that then respond, then are called for an interview. You become number one. So the company must then provide all that information to say 25 people came for an interview. This person who's a Zimbabwean or a migrant who happens to be Comrade Geli Noko was number one, right? And they provide the Department of Labor with all that information. Once the Department of Labor satisfies itself, it will then recommend that you be given a work visa. That is, if the job that you're applying for is not listed under critical skills, right? If it is not listed under critical skills, then the Department of Labor will then recommend that you be given, then they will waiver the requirement of a critical skill, so that you then get a general work visa to work as an accountant if your qualifications as an accountant are not listed under critical skills. But if you are a person your qualifications are listed under critical skills, you simply apply for a job. Once you have a confirmation or proof that you have been employed, you straight apply to the Department of Home Affairs for a work visa. You apply from your country of origin. It will take about 8 weeks or so for them to process that application. Then once you receive your work visa, you come through to South Africa. But as I conclude, if Comrade Jel Noko, let's assume these two examples I've given do not fit you, or you are not into these two that I've given, you are a person what we call people of low skill, workers of low skill, you will not be able to apply for a work visa. For instance, if you are a truck driver or a domestic worker or working at Pick and Pay, you are not under the Zimbabwe exemption permit, you want to apply for a visa, you will not qualify, because the Immigration Act is very clear in terms of who qualifies for a visa. This is why holders of Zimbabwe exemption permits are being assisted to apply for waivers, because ordinarily they will not qualify to apply for any visa. I hope I've tried to answer these questions. We'll try to finish these questions that are outstanding maybe tomorrow. Please keep your questions coming. I am Ngabuto Nicholas Mabena. Please have a good evening and enjoy your weekend. And we hope that in Amapogopo are going to do us proud again over the weekend. Comrade Sidney Ngwenya says, what if you are on a study permit, postgraduate, then wish to apply for work permit? Remember, Comrade Sidney Ngwenya, Minister Kigaba, when was Minister of Home Affairs, he had said, which became a regulation or law. I'm not sure how to differentiate the two, but he had said that if you are a student starting towards a critical visa, or your courses falls under critical visa, as automatically when you graduate, you get granted permanent residence, but that has been withdrawn. So if you are on study visa, and you are not, your course that you are studying does not fall under critical skills. I've seen many, someone will be a holder of a doctorate, right, in media studies, which is not listed under critical skills. So you will not qualify. You need to have critical skills, unless, as I've said, that the company will say they need your services. There's no South African who's available to do the job. They will have to show proof that they did the flight, the advert, in a number of sites or newspapers, and provide information in terms of how the interviews were carried out and so forth. And if the interview was flighted and there was no one who applied for that job, you're the only one, they need to provide all that information. It is then that the Department of Labor will recommend that you apply for a waiver. You then waiver the those requirements that are needed for you to apply for a general work visa so that you then work. I'm sure, Comrade Sidney Ngwenya, you got the answer. It's now 30 minutes. Otherwise, this is too long. People will not watch. Please have a great day. Goodbye.